Happy Wednesday. It is Extend the Drive, Best Ball Live. Sean Mitchell, I'm your host. This is episode 12. We are on episode 12, man. It seems like these things are flying by. Starting to have more guests. Had Mr. Neil Orfield yesterday on the show. Had a fun one with him. Going to be having Miss Megan Shope tomorrow. But we've got a pretty good special guest today. Really excited about it. We know he really doesn't need much of an introduction. He might be on for an 8-second ride. He might be, number 8 in your program, but he's number 1 in our hearts. So let me bring on Mr. Tyler, the EMO Cowboy. How's it going, man?
It's going great, brother. Thanks for having me on. It's always fun to chop it up. First time getting to meet you after many back and forth discourses on the Twitter machine. So it's always a good time to chop it up.
Absolutely. Well, it's going to be a fun show, man. You were definitely one that I wanted to have on early on because of, you really make it fun. You bring the stream alive. You're a pretty colorful guy. But hopefully you like the thumbnail. I thought that was pretty cool. It's something put together, just threw together with the old Wild Wild West thing. But yeah, man, it was something that I just wanted to have, and I look forward to it. And I know we're gonna have some fun conversation here. I'm sure we'll have some agreements, some disagreements about some player takes, but you're the guest. So, for this one, I'm going to let you win for the most part, but while we chase that 2 million. But with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and pop over to the Twitter to the best ball. But let me ask you, so you didn't partake in the fantasybestball.com. Did you not? Are you planning to stream, or are you planning to do all of the BBMs? Are you planning to max it? How many are you planning on doing, if any?
I have yet to max. Last year I did 69 famously.
Nice.
And that felt like a good sweet spot. It's a fun tournament. It's not my favorite tournament by far. It's the most fun prize to chase, of course.
Sure.
But bankroll management, I usually do like 30 to 35 on my own. But last year, being a part of the Fantasy Sanctuary and having all of my BBMs on stream be with guests and my co-host, exactly. I was like, well, let me go ahead and do, and I pretty much did an extra 30 or so cardio clubs for the most part to fill out my stuff. So no, I am not in the Fantasy Best Ball circle jerk contest because I do not plan to max. If I change
are you entering a lineup? Are you gonna enter a lineup in it? It's free to enter. I have seen on the timeline today. There's quite a few folks that have already posted their roster in the contest. Are you planning to enter that?
I will. My cheating is that any game you play, try to maximize the edge. So if it's going to be open for the entirety of the summer, you're damn well going to know I'm going to go look up people's profile, what's going on, like the database, the player tracking. I'm going to see their exposures, and then I will select my roster in the most sweaty fashion. The day before it closes, I will do my research. I will set my lineup, and then completely forget I did it until they post the results. So because if I'm going to enter anything, I hope to win.
Right. And that was kind of, what I was telling Neil yesterday on the stream was like, I want to kind of wait until we get closer to August where, if somebody's falling out, somebody's, they get injured. They can't, they're obviously not going to fill out they're not going to be able to draft all 150 or whatever. I'll wait and see, and then I'll put it in closer to time, kind of like get that last hour before you enter. And I'm just going to throw in a lineup, but, let's catch up on the chat. Ben, what's up? Nick, how's it going, man? We got Ben in the chat. What's up, Watson, in there? Nick, well, loves a good circle jerk, as we know. Chad Candles, good morning, good afternoon. CBK, just have blind faith. And Tyler, of course. Lock button on the emo. Hey, I have to agree there.
If everybody lock button me as a bit and then I actually bank, that would be truly fucking hilarious.
Wouldn't that be great?
The bit banking would be great. At this point, I don't know what I want more. Do I want to win, or do I want to play 69th for the true bit?
Keep the full bit going. Keep the full bit in round.
No, I'd like to win. If I can first and 69th would be the true dream.
Right. So how many drafts are you in, man? I mean, obviously, I know you've been in the streets. I know you've probably got a few hundred going or already done right now. You mainly
Yeah.
just hammering out fast. You're doing slows. What's the
No,
landscape looking
if
like
I
for
can
emo?
avoid slows,
I hear you.
that's that's the hope right there, because it's like I enjoy drafting at its core, and I do not enjoy slow drafts. But it looks like I am 109
109.
post draft right now, 10
That's
BBM.
post. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So 10 BBM, and then the rest are the smaller dollar prizes to keep a nice pulse on the ADPs, hit some of the pockets that are going on, and
Sure.
just because I can't stop. I love
Did you get it in
drafting.
pre? Did you get in pre? How many did you get in pre-draft? Did you do big
Oh
board? Did you do
God,
any of those?
I think I maxed just about everything, to be honest.
Really?
Let's see.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Who was your top two exposures in big board?
That's a good question. So I did 249 on underdog.
Okay.
I did probably like another 60 to 100 on
I was
drafters.
gonna ask, were you on DraftKings? Did you eat DraftKings or just
I
DraftKings?
think I did a couple of DraftKings. It's not my favorite site to do,
I
but I
hear
definitely
you.
got a few in. Let's see, highest exposure pre-draft. No surprise, Devonte Adams.
Devontae Adams. Okay. I
Yeah.
wonder what you don't know what the average ADP what you got him at on that was.
I mean, I was hammering
I
him. I did not
know he
care.
was going quite a bit later, right?
Yeah,
He
he
was
was
going in
fifth
fourth,
fifth
fifth round.
round for like a month or two, fourth
Yeah,
round for another month or two, and then when he signed with the Rams,
with
he
LA.
pretty much ended up around like probably like what 37, 35, and I just started
Yeah,
taking. I wanted to mix him in everywhere I got him, because at the end of the day, it's like um, like my last few years, the pre-draft stances have been pretty good. They've just had bad runouts, like
yeah.
injury wise. Like my biggest stands last year, famously 40-something% Kareem Hunt, and
Which worked out. I
I mean
mean,
it was a questionable process, to be quite honest. But I think we heard it was a weak rookie class, and so I just hammered the undervalued, cheap vets.
right.
And if you do that for three guys and one Binks, cool. And so this year was kind of like the same thing, or was it kind of a different thing where it's like kind of a weak, shaky, weird receiver class, and the running back class is split on if it's good, if it's bad. So I just try to take stands on undervalued vets,
Gotcha.
who have historically been awesome for best ball. But like last year the receivers were like Nico and Evans and guys like that, where it's like process was good for spike weeks. It was just bad for injuries. What are you going to do?
Right. Yeah.
So
Obviously, nothing
yeah,
we could do about the injuries.
not
So
anymore.
I'm gonna go ahead and we're gonna try to do a 30. We were lucky yesterday on the stream. I know I've tried to do a BBM pretty much on most streams, other than a few that I did a lot of puppies on. But the first couple I didn't have any luck doing solos trying to get a 30 second BBM going. But we're gonna try this. I'm gonna give anybody that's in the chat right now a chance at it to get in there with us. So I'm gonna count it down on 3, 2, 1. So 3, 2, 1, and we're going. Please don't give me the location error. Okay, we're waiting on 9. So we're waiting on 9. So with that being said, leaves a little bit more time for some discussion. Looks like a couple are jumping in. We're down to 7. So are you rookie pilled, man? Were you hammering a lot of rookies in the big boards and then the pre-drafts? Where are you at on the rookies now? Are you trying to scoop up the veteran value, as we want to call it, or where are you at on the rookies right now? After
I
post
mean, I'm
done
at the point now where I'm trying to adjust for like half the class getting much worse draft capital than was prophesied,
what we
and kind of
expect.
adjusting for it's not quite. I mean, like draft capital wise, which we know the NFL cares about to some extent.
Mm-hmm.
For running backs, obviously, it's not quite as much of a death sentence because the running backs have been devalued by the league, outside of a few extensions for a few big names, like veterans like Najee and J.K. Dobbins, for instance,
Right.
not getting much money this year, kind of shows that outside of a few elite guys with a few nice setups are kind of being devalued. So it's like rookies, guys can come from the wreckage, but for the most part, I think it's probably prudent to adjust our priors on some of those later rookies whose ADPs feel a little frothy. And at the end of the day,
Yeah.
it's trying to like remember that hits matter more than misses. Small
Absolutely.
wins matter so much less than big wins. So it's still, you want to chase these black boxes, but the black boxes aren't always rookies. Oftentimes they are. They're not always rookies. Sometimes they're just wrongly valued year 2 guys, wrongly valued injured guys, etc. So I'm just trying to hammer stuff that the market is either too confident on or not confident enough to feel good about it, and try to adjust very quickly if we get any indication one way or the other. And I think that's the only way to play it without, leaving your whole ass out there as of now. Because there's a lot of info that we're going to get in the next few months that other drafters are going to have a leg up on you.
It's, I saw somebody, I think it was Rob Coakley. He tweeted out today that, he said, I've, basically saying that there's been more tweets about best ball this early than any prior year, which is a good thing. And then he said, and then the other good thing was basically that 90% of them has been total garbage. It's like, I mean, I will say, obviously with the big board dropping where it was, there was not near this much discourse, especially, I guess it started after schedule drop. I would say more so last year, but like there was hardly anything for pre-draft. Like there was nobody talking about best ball. Nick says, is there any Barkley Henry this year, or was that back to the running backs are getting devalued? I was going to mention that, but there still are backs that are getting. The Najee was a really good example. But yeah, to that point, do we think there's going to be, which Saquon, the tush push? It was not banned today. What's your take on the tush push? Were you against it? Did you want to see it banned, or were you happy that it didn't get banned?
No, I think the people calling for the tush push to be banned are soft. Is my take. It's a football play. If it's legal, changing the rules to make something illegal because one team is doing it well is the definition of soft. Right. Figure out how to stop it. I mean, that would be like going back in time and complaining every time Tom Brady and their offense figured out, ban signing undervalued veterans that fit well in your system. Ban substitutions to punish the Colts for having small DBs that can't stop the run and blame it on a ball. It's that type of soft behavior. The tush push is just something that's executed because the quarterback is extremely strong, the offensive line is extremely strong, and their scheme is very good. At the end of the day, we got signal from Schefter months ago, who said on a stream that was tweeted out, I don't see it being banned. He is one of the 2 NFL mouthpieces. So anybody pretending like this is gonna, and i.e. Hurts falling, and I know we're on the same page of like Hurts falling as if he got smaller, got worse at rushing, or that he's not allowed to QB sneak, which they're also very successful. The tush pushes are just a fancy,
glorified
tush push. Yeah, they don't need Saquon pushing him to get it. Like he's strong and big enough. That offensive line's good enough. Like last time I checked, Josh Allen just scored 12 touchdowns without the tush push. They sucked at the tush push. He scored 12 touchdowns.
He didn't need the tush push to score rushing touchdowns. And that's, I know I saw something today saying that, Hurts is, I forgot what it was, an astronomical number of how many he had, scored from the one over the last 2 years. But still yet, like within the 5, they could, he's still a threat to do quarterback sneak or just to do a draw or the play breaks. I mean, there's so many ways he could still get there that it's unreal that people think that one way or the other it's going to stop him, automatically from getting touchdowns. But.
Yeah, I think the bigger problem and complaint is like, these other teams just aren't being aggressive on 4th down enough. That's really all it comes down. And as you notice, some of the sharpest front offices didn't vote yes because they realized like it really just comes down to like maximizing all 4 downs instead of being uber conservative. And so like, I'm not shocked that some of the most conservative offices were the ones voting to ban an aggressive 4th down play. Because at the end of the day, like if they are 97% successful with the QB sneak, then it doesn't matter. But back to I think the more relevant question is like, I think that's an interesting thing to say is like, hey, are there any undervalued running backs because of, whatever? I think guys like Joe Mixon being just like stuck in the 5th round, who super strong role, super strong usage. The O-line could not have been worse. The injuries on the offense could not have been worse. His injuries, 2 separate ankle sprains while he was crushing, could not have been worse. another giant stand of mine that hurt by injuries last year. What are you going to do? It's how it goes. I think guys like that and Kamara, who it's like these look like guys with strong roles who were pretty efficient and who have offenses that could improve and are being priced down a little bit because of uncertainty. James Conner, again, who is stuck in the 7th, 8th round because a little bit of Trey Benson talk, because of a little bit of, a little bit of fear of a guy who had a 3-game sample.
They said they were going to use Benson more this year.
Right? Yeah. And I mean, like you got the same quote from Spears about Spears from Callahan, and they said the same last year. Like part of my Chase Brown hesitancy, I'm having to be like, there's a lot of coaching staffs that say, hey, in a perfect world, we'd like it split up like this.
Right.
But when they say that, what we've seen, what we know is rarely do they get to operate in a perfect world. There are going to be injuries. There are going to be games that they're behind in. And at the end of the day, you play the good guys, because when you don't, you're playing with one arm behind your back.
You're putting a strain on your offense, right?
Exactly. So it's like at the end of the day, I'm going to adjust more to, like, I think overreacting to quotes versus historically how they've acted is that like fine line of, he's got a role, he's got an opportunity, but that doesn't mean that if things break down, that it's going to go away from those guys. And so that's the fun part too, is like the market reacts very different. Every player reacts differently to what they hear, what they see, what they think. And that's where the quote unquote fun of the game, I think, is you get to play information differently.
Sure. So a little catching up on the chat a little bit here. Jalapenos in the chat. It's like it's like trying to ban the dunk. Yeah, I get that. There was a couple of other things that were said. Basically, it's just like pointing. Like Nick said, it's like putting the 3-point line back because Curry don't miss. I mean, it's like that's instances that are totally true. And by the way, we did hop into a 20-second BBM because the other one, it got down to 6 and then it went back up to 7. And I was like, all right, well, we're not going to sit here all day trying to wait on a 30-second to fill up. We'll do the 20. We'll get it in. Waiting on 3. So if you're in the chat, get in a BBM with us. Let's draft. Good morning, Omega. Good to see you in here, man. Nick says draft all the olds. I mean, hey, the thing is nobody wanted the olds last year, and they were the ones who essentially were the ones you needed. I mean, all of the pockets of the dead zones, the James Connors, of those things. You got the Cortland Sutton, who had a really good year in that Jacoby Myers range that just really was a staple to Darnell Mooney. Those guys that nobody wanted in that 9th, 8th, 9th, 10th round last year were essentially the guys you needed to have. They were the ones who gave you the most floor all the way through the year and were basically hitting your lineup every single day or every single week. And those are the ones that you needed. What's up, Tom? Good to see Tom in here. The partner in crime for Tyler over here from the FF Sanctuary. Good to see you in here, man. But yeah, like that was the whole thing. So
yeah, and at the end of the day, it's funny because we're very confident the old guys will always get injured, the young guys won't. Every year we're reminded that's not necessarily true, even though our anecdotal biases think that. And I mean, it's fair to an extent, but how much do you dock it, and then also how much do you adjust for that? And at the end of the day, I think it's far more prudent, and it's hard to do because you want to just go in with heavy stands, but what you realize is in a tournament like this, where you need tail outcomes, you need random chaos in your favor to like thread the needle to get there. Exactly. And then you want chaos in the end. And at the end of the day, there's value in I think people do it poorly when they say zig when they zag. It is zigging in spots where the market collectively, and I think one of the best ways last year, and then I did kind of a poor job at some points of like the Rams are going to run the ball all the time. It's like, okay, if everybody thinks that, then if you are just adjusting that, like, what if we're too overconfident on that point? Right. You succeeded in a really big way. I really only succeeded in that. I was like, I loved Ladd, and I thought Ladd was more than a slot guy. The market's, he's just a slot guy. Well, it's like, okay, they don't need to throw a lot if he's just very good on the outside and the inside. But if you can just macro zoom out and say, I think we're too confident about X, then you benefit if the market's wrong. Much like when you're doing, your weekly BRs or your betting slips. Like, is it Is it profitable in the long term to tail the 95% public bet? No, it's very profitable just to go the other way. And I think we're very bad about doing that regularly in these drafts.
Yep.
And that's one thing that's really helpful to kind of zoom out and be like, what are we massively all together? And that's hard because sometimes it's our bubble's very overconfident in a way, but the majority is like, I don't care. And so zigging when you're zagging is somewhat helpful, but in like this large of a field and a final, variance is going to take care of plenty of that too. We go like, oh, this is going to be a chalk combo in the finals, but it's like, well, is it? Because if it gets wiped out in week 16,
what does it matter? Yeah.
Week 17 chalk's going to be vastly different because who knows what's going to come back.
Yeah. And I made that, that was a tweet that I had made the other day, essentially talking about that. It's like, for one, like getting into the group speak and essentially wanting to stay in there and just following 99% of what, all the popular people are doing at the time or something of that nature, you're generally going to find that you're in that whole lump sum with everybody else that are doing the same thing. So I totally agree. And the main point of the tweet was essentially that we have a lot of these more time box contests now. And I will say that we are coming up on the clock at the 1-9. So I'll hit back on that after we get here. We do have a couple of folks that I know of. Jalapenos in here, Jewish McCaffrey's in here. CBK made it in. I don't see any of the other names that come up familiar to me. I don't know if you may know any of them.
I believe King of Kings 123 is Frank, who's big in the FanSpeak network.
Awesome.
That's the only other name I recognize off the top of my head.
Who are you thinking here, man? We got wide receiver galore. Essentially any wide receiver that you want. Or you can go Derrick Henry, Brock Bowers. What's your
any issue with Puka?
Not at all.
Let's go Puka.
Not at all. I mean, the only reason that I've ranked Puka a little bit behind now is essentially because I was very heavy on him to start pre-draft. Obviously, before Devontae came there, I was taking him as early as 5, 6 easily. So I shifted back in my ranks so I wouldn't continue to stay really heavy on him. But with that being said, let's see here. We got Jalapeno goes Henry. We got Neighbors for Jewish. CBK, the Amon-Ra Collins turn bet there.
Amon-Ra Collins at the 12 is so unfair, man. I hate not getting the 11 or 12 spot right now, which is funny because I hate it.
A lot of people are saying that that's literally the best spot in the draft. And I mean, sometimes we get some really nice combos there. What are you thinking here, man? Bowers, we got AJ Brown, Devon, Ladd, JT, Bucky. What are you thinking?
I'm good with Bowers or HN here, and I'll let you split it on your own.
What's your preference?
Let's go Bowers. I like Bowers simply because my thing is I understand the arguments against him and his price.
Sure.
But at the end of the day, I also want to simplify the process. And if
CBK.
I think we might be a little too, I know. That 11 and 12 turn is my favorite.
What's up, Watt? Always Bowers in the second. Generational wealth. And
I don't want to be too heavy on Bowers because again,
I'm saying I'm taking him. I'm definitely taking him.
I like him. But I don't want to be massively underweight because any one of these guys has a huge season long and finals. You know what, Chad? That's when you just decide that the entire 3rd to 4th round is flat as hell and just go get whatever.
And it's also good with Puka because Tampa Bay is usually around in there, and that's that week 17. Atlanta, which that's a really good week 17 start, or you can try to plug in later on. But no, I don't mind taking Puka because obviously I think that he's still easily going to eat. I don't have any problem with him. Everybody's worried about Devontae stealing all the touchdowns. I don't think that's going to be the case either. Kyron's still there, but
here's a fun
Puka
thing.
could just take over any game, and he's not just going to be a one or two red zone guy anyway, like Devontae could possibly be. But
there's so many reasons why his price is fine to underpriced. He's extremely talented. He's one of the most extremely efficient receivers in the league. His role as like a power slot move guy in this offense, very good. The offense and quarterback he's tied to are kingmakers of fantasy football.
Absolutely.
And those are mining the fields of that for league winners, profitable strategy. Yeah. Much like Amon-Ra, one of his knocks for years was, well, he's not heavily enough using the red zone. And the year he is using the red zone more often, which is variable, last year, he's an uber smash. Puka could do that randomly as well. So, and also this offense has swung wildly from rush heavy to pass heavy in the red zone. If they do that again, both guys can smash.
Yep. What are you thinking here? We're on the clock.
You just want to take a Chase Brown dip just a tad bit?
Hey, I'm totally fine with that. Honestly, he never dips this much, and I usually never have a chance to take him. So this is kind of helping diverse the portfolio a little bit for me too, because I was definitely not taking Chase Brown a lot, before the draft, because and then he's a winner in the draft. So yeah, I'm totally fine getting a little bit of Chase Brown there. Cincinnati, they're playing the Cardinals. There's absolutely some Cardinals later on you could possibly take. So to get that little mini stack going for week 17. So totally fine with that. That's what Chad, true, like Puka, just don't love the part of the board. Tyler's right, not a bad place to reach a few picks. Yeah. It's going to become even more prevalent once we get a little closer to camp season, and once we start getting camp news, that people are going to start trying to flip the board a lot. That really starts to happen, within the August, July, August time frame.
Yeah. I mean, like, we're going to get moves. We're going to get shifting in things. And there's what may be unique now will be chalk later. So it's like, don't be afraid to just, like, if you're within 10 picks, you're not nuking yourself at all.
No, I do not at all. Not at all. Who you liking here? We got DJ Moore, Cook, Travis Hunter, JD5, Omarion Hampton, and then you've got a little run of the wide receivers.
I'm good with either of Moore or Hunter. Hunter's obviously the exciting rookie, but I think Moore, the FUD, might be a little overblown. So
I agree. And I'm taking DJ Moore.
I expect him to rise with I know the market. They're going to overreact to this soft tissue burden injury, and because he's out, you're going to see a lot of tweets saying that Roman DJ Moore are being targeted, because that's how it works when a guy is missing.
Exactly. Right.
So it's like Moore may end up never being cheaper than this. Now he's already been rising from his catapulting thing, and I think no matter what you think about burden, DJ Moore is the most talented guy in that room. His effort level is the question. I don't mind that your effort is being questioned whenever you're having to play with the dog shit that they rolled out in Chicago last year with a quarterback that was one of the more inaccurate passers. And it's like, I understand that. We've seen that happen, and we've seen guys lock in when adults enter the room, which is why one of the underrated parts of coaching staffs is dudes that will hold people accountable and treat them like adults. And we know that, like, competitors lock in when they feel like competitive fire, and it's easy to not lock in when there's bullshit going on. I like that. That is fine to me. And that FUD is a little much. So it's like, if I can invest now with a guy that will probably snap back into the third round because of, like, just how the market is, it's very like reactionary. The muscle memory of ADP is there. So I won't be surprised by that at all. But I don't know that he gets much cheaper than an injury now. So it's like, may as well.
Right. Anyway, what's up, who? But yeah, to that point, Chicago did stick with DeAndre Swift and Roschon Johnson. I mean, are we really expecting them to just want to pound the rock? I mean, I don't see that happening. So I totally agree that I think that they are going to let Caleb, a little off the leash. Let him just throw the ball a lot. I think Ben Johnson's going to pass a lot.
Even if they don't pass a lot, it can just be more efficient, right? Like they could be a perfectly balanced. Their O-line is strong enough. We know Ben Johnson can run the ball more than fine enough. But if their pass game is just more efficient, and more well designed for Caleb, then that takes some of the pressure off of Caleb. But that also means that it's more beneficial for the guys getting targeted. And we know that Moore is already an efficient guy. So if the passes are just more efficient anyway, then the volume's not as big of an issue, especially for the fourth round. Like, we're not talking about a second round pick by any stretch of the imagination. So it's like that the storm of him being a loss outside of injury for a fourth round pick that buries us is not as, again, the hits matter more than the misses. And if Caleb and Ben Johnson in this pass game improve in a demonstrable way, Moore stands to benefit really big from that.
Yeah, We are on the clock. RJ Harvey, Chuba Hubbard. We have Chase Brown, Puka, DJ, and Brock. What are you thinking? Where are you looking?
Take your favorite of Harvey or Hubbard is my recommendation.
If I don't take Chuba here, I'm probably going to get banned in a few chats. So
well, there you go.
I'm gonna take the group fave and just take Chuba here. I like Chuba. I hated his price whenever it was pre draft. He was going, fourth round. That was the worst price, But now that he has settled into that late 50, early 60 range, I'm taking more. I will say that a lot of times I'm ended up taking some of these receivers down here, like Olave, Godwin, Juwan, Judy. I feel like that's a really good pocket to take receivers. So a lot of the times, I'm grabbing an early running back, maybe two, and then essentially I'm taking a wide receiver in that range. So I don't really get there a ton. And Kamara has been falling to like 63, 64. And I've been taking him some lately. Is this the real Sean Mitchell? Hey, look, Rico I got enough Rico to last for days. So I can take a little Chuba here, get a little diversified. But we're 2 picks away. We now have a 2-2-1. No quarterback, Chase Brown, Chuba, Puka, DJ Moore, Brock Bowers. We have a plethora of wide receivers. Where are you looking? How do you feel about Travion, especially after, which we'll talk about this after we make the pick.
I think
I do want to get your thoughts on that.
I still think he's a fine enough pick, but I have a hard time not just clicking Godwin here. Yeah. I mean, from a talent, offense, and profile standpoint, why not? Like when we're talking about ceiling, Godwin's tail outcome is so extremely high and likely versus some of these other guys. I was hoping we could maybe push Harvey back to us.
Yeah,
it would have been a hard thing to not take the double tapped Chicago just to say, hey, we're betting on this offense. And if, again, we're talking about May, but if somehow the soft tissue injury lingers all of camp, we've seen that a guy coming in and missing time in camp is bad. It's especially bad whenever you are more raw and need more work. But I don't want to get ahead of ourselves there, but in that environment, Rome and DJ Moore become more expensive because there's more certainty, less worry, yada, yada. But all that said, Godwin, the health news was still tracking very well.
Right, yeah.
It seems like he's on track to start week 1. I expect him to take a little bit of time to come back from that injury, but that means, again, in this contest, we're worried about the last 3 weeks of the season. But if he's starting week 1, he's not a 0. We know that volume is a great way to overcome any sort of production inefficiency dip. And we know that his role in this offense through 2 different coaching staffs has been power slot, like Boone. And we know that that's a modern fantasy treasure trove right now. We know that Baker and this offense can be very pass aggressive and have a really high ceiling. And I think the addition of Egbuka raises the floor of what this passing offense can be with any injuries. And it's like, even with any sort of regression, his single game and his season long ceiling are still very high. And it's hard not to want to load up on that profile for sure.
And he's dipped. I mean, he's dipped a little bit, and that's the crazy thing too. That's what we were talking about yesterday on stream. Like, he was on track to absolutely crush last year, right before the injury. He was going to dominate fantasy football for, CBK. Oh man, Who Hames said his bags are packed. Hey, I'm all on Godwin. And back to Rome. I thought it's interesting now that he has dipped. I haven't been able to really get him. I have not been able to get him much because for some reason he's not going any later for one. But where he was going earlier, I was taking him, as a wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3, and now he's hardly ever there. Where are you thinking here? It's a pretty wild spot in the draft here.
I think this spot's a little flat for running back, so I think we grab our preferred receiver of either Ayuk or Mooney. I like Ayuk's upside the most if he's trending well. I think it's in a lineup where we are saying we need to catch up in a way at ceiling.
Right.
And I was fading Ayuk at cost initially, but it does seem that I didn't want to fully fade him because the fantasy doctors I trust say, hey, historically his type of archetype and age has fared better than the average coming back from this injury. And his whole thing is just big body, deep passing, red zone role in and of itself. And so it's like getting back to that, if he can avoid pup, is huge. Seems like maybe that's more in line. Purdy getting paid and then finally being a deep passing offense last year gives me a little bit of hope that, hey, this might be something they trend towards more often, which benefits Ayuk again as well.
Yeah.
Rizzi has a questionable profile. I love Jennings a lot, but it wouldn't be surprising if, in a perfect world, he's more of a chess match move piece, but Ayuk still is that primary boundary receiver where a lot of the fantasy points come from. And so it just seems like a worthwhile bet to take, especially when,
and if we do get, well, let's make this pick, and then I want to bring this up. But who are you liking here? You obviously have a pair with Godwin, with Baker. Mahomes is falling. Then obviously you have some.
Let's grab Downs. I'm loving Downs.
Okay.
I think his
I don't
price
mind getting that fifth
is higher. I want to invest in Indianapolis because I do think there's a very real chance that they get
Danny Dimes.
They just get better passing production in the short and intermediate areas. And for Downs, who is the strongest target earner, the most efficient receiver on this offense, who lost out the most on inaccurate passes at all places of the field, his floor gets raised. And I mean, I think Downs is the most direct arbitrage off of Reed. They're both slot only players, but Green Bay has just such a strong ability to attack via the rushing game and play for the playoffs by kind of like adjusting to matchups. Whereas Indianapolis they're fighting for their jobs across the board, and they're in a division that should be like very offensive focused with these teams' makeups right now. Jacksonville getting improvements is another team that should push them and not be someone that brings them down. And so I just think that lends itself well to being shootout focused, especially for the finals. And I want pieces of that, especially like I said, we were hoping to catch up a receiver, and I feel pretty good about it when we're thinking about late season.
Well, and that's Nick says I'm cooking. I didn't even realize he was in this draft. Was there? What is he in the? He's right before us. But I'll debate that later, Nick, because there's some things that I like and there's some things that I don't like, but obviously personal preference. But what I was going to bring up about Ayuk is if we do get good news about him before, how much? I mean, he's going in the 80s. How much is he could rise anywhere between 3 to 4 rounds. He could go up at least 3.
Yeah, I think if with healthy news, he and Jennings will be like back to back in the 60s, late 50s. Rizzi will be, stuck in the 70s, the 80s, and that alone is just getting a combo we may not be getting, and that's why
it helps. It hurts, but it helps that his bye week is 14 because you've got all the early guys here, which we're on the clock. Baker Mayfield, I figured that was probably easy.
I was tempted to pull him up, so
we also could have went Caleb. Yeah, we had either way. We could go there, we go Caleb, but
still could. If he comes back around, we still could.
We could easily, but that was also the point too. Is, Ayuk has a 14-week bye. All of our guys are going to be healthy, hopefully healthy. Still playing. And going to have us all these early points, early season points. So if we do get him, even if he does take a little bit longer, I mean, like you said, all we're really worried about are those last 3 weeks. And San Francisco, they've got a really good game for Week 17. They're playing against the Bears, and we got a nice little Week 17 stack there that we didn't really even talk about. So,
well, he could just be a piece of why we get into the finals because Tennessee and Indianapolis are much better matchups on tap. Week 15, 16.
Right. So we are a couple picks from the clock. We have a 1-2-5-1: Baker, Chase Brown, Chuba Hubbard, Puka Nacua, DJ Moore, Chris Godwin, Ayuk, Josh Downs, and Brock Bowers. I like the squad. Where are you thinking we're going here? Are you looking at a Scatabo? Are you looking at a Najee? Or are you looking at a possible Evan Ingram? Are you looking at a Rashid Shaheed? Well, never mind.
I think let's just grab Scatabo. I mean, he seems like a pretty decent target. And every time, if I'm going to take one of the 2 pass catchers on a bad offense that'll be playing a lot of catch up, who could maybe get the goal line. So like whether it's Tracy, whether it's Scat, I don't really care. But I think on this team,
and it's also a nice little mini Week 17 stack there. They play Las Vegas.
Stack. Yeah,
they play Las Vegas. So if that happens to be where he wins the backfield, if he doesn't start out as the one in New York and becomes the one, or just, and they're playing behind in Week 17 and he's the pass down back. I mean, That's a nice little spot there. Get a
Oh
little
yeah.
bit 17
I
correlation.
mean, one of the best things you could do is
Plus, we
just
got him
target really bad
14
teams.
picks past. We got him 14 picks past ADP. Can't really be mad about that. Totally like the pick. Which I'm a Scatterbo guy. I know Meg over at Fanspeak. She's a huge Scatterbo. She's really big into him as well. So I'm sure we'll profess our love for Scatterbo tomorrow on the show when she comes on. But yeah, I honestly feel like he could easily take over that backfield. There's a lot of folks who are heavily onto Tyrone Tracy, thinking that thinking that he's going to continue to stay in the lead, which he very well could. I'm not saying he won't. Not saying that that's the case at all. I'm not saying, Scatterbo is easily going to go in and take the job. But Scatterbo's build and his archetype as a running back is essentially everything a little bit better than what Tyrone Tracy does. And
yeah,
they're both late draft capital guys, so
Cam got slightly better draft capital.
right.
Tracy got soft benched for fumbling issue, and
Yes.
and at the end of the day, injuries are injuries. So, and in all honesty, they might just be so pass centric with a not awesome defense and a need to win games that they don't have any choice but play the best guys and play a lot, play fast. Which at the end of the day, the best thing you can do really is just say, who are some of the worst teams that just might be shootouts because no one can do anything to stop? We've seen that be some of the best places to target.
Absolutely.
People drool over these, whoever KC or Buffalo plays, but it's like at the end of the day, teams with nothing to lose and can't stop a runny nose tend to be
Carolina last year,
and you just take a lot of darts. And,
exactly.
And if those guys are also rookies who could get late season. Also, we've seen running backs with 5th round draft capital get completely erased from the earth, aka Damian Pierce, because of the new guy coming in that's more trustworthy. So historically, it's a bet I'll usually take the other side on if you give me a choice.
Absolutely. I totally agree. We are 2 picks away. We have a 1-3-5-1. We're in a pretty good spot. Not a lot of wide receivers here. Obviously, Mims is the only one in this range.
And I think that's why
a huge pocket of
we're in a good spot.
And, who you like? Who you liking here? Do you like Mims, or do you like tacking on another running back?
Let's get Drake May. Let's get Drake May.
I'm totally fine with that. We can pretty much shore up our quarterback room. We won't have to worry about quarterback anymore. Do you feel like you should have a 3 quarterback room with these 2 guys, or would you be good to stop there?
We could totally stop here. I will always stay open to a 3rd stacked quarterback, but I think and what I've seen now, one of the easiest ways to kind of like screw over your team is getting boxed out of viable quarterbacks, especially. And when you can get guys with nice floors and ceilings, New England's got a pretty soft schedule.
Yep.
And if you're allowing me to just buy into an offense with the cheapest pieces, then
a lot in the back.
Backstacking him feels better that way.
Hunter Henry, Pop Douglas. I mean, then of course you've got the plethora of late guys, Booty and Kendrick Bourne was brought up yesterday. I'm like, I forgot the guy was even on the roster. So it's I
have a hard time thinking he's gonna matter, but
right. But it was just the point of like, oh yeah, he's still there too. Plethora of tight ends and running backs.
We got Spears or White stacks. I'm good with either guy. Up to you.
Let's do the stack. We need another running back. I like Spears, but he doesn't exactly do a lot for us here. So we don't have any Saints, which is their Week 17 game. So I'm totally fine. It's probably going to be one of my only few shares of Rachaad White, but and it's funny though because I've got lots of Tampa Bay sacks, but he's a guy that obviously was in that Rico, which I typically wait for Rico or the other later backs that which I'm usually in a good spot with running backs at that point, but neither here nor there.
I mean, he still has massive contingent upside, and he's still their preferred pass down guy. And their matchups in the playoffs are Atlanta, Carolina, and Miami. Carolina and Miami were really poor rush defenses, but they were also just bad defenses in general that gave up all the points. And if Atlanta and Carolina and Miami are all shootouts, well, we know that Rachaad is their preferred catch-up back. If they're behind a score or two, so at the end, and then again, just contingent upside. As just a pure handcuff and a good offense that stacks, it's a good pick. So that's where I'm like, I'm still very comfortable with him because the coaching staff is comfortable with him in his role. He can be a bad rusher, but if he's catching passes on a good offense, that's a valuable role. That was essentially the bet with Spears last year on a bad offense. And he was a great pick because he didn't do a whole lot standalone. But if and when he got the call to be the workhorse when it mattered, he was a huge hit. And that's all we're looking for.
I agree. I fully agree there. And yeah, I mean, again, we're still tacking on making that bet, which I'm huge on the Bucks. I mean, I really am. Like, it's hard not to be, so they've still got, as long as everybody stays healthy, obviously they've still got one of the better offenses in the league, and their defense is not good. Even though
they kind of low key,
defensive minded coach.
By investing a first round pick at wide receiver, they kind of low key said, we will continue to realize our path to relevancy is the offense being good. And I'm like, and Todd was finally a little aggressive last year. And it's like, okay, this is a team where I feel like no matter what, they understand that the offense and scoring points is how you win games, even if they kind of stumble with some things. And as long as the defense stays kind of middling to bad and the offense is strong, that's going to be a strong place to invest fantasy picks.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a recipe for a shootout. Like you were talking earlier with the Giants, with the other, random teams, Carolina. We are on the clock. We do have the tack on with McMillan here. If you want to go that route. I mean,
let's have some humility. Let's say chaos happens, injury happens. Is it my favorite? I
still think McMillan is going to be in the mix. I mean, I know that people, and obviously that's hence why he's dropping a ton. I'm not going to say he'll be fully in the mix early on, but I do think that he mixes in, and obviously we know that Evans is a year older. Godwin coming off injury. They did draft Egbuka, but he's still a rookie. I mean, if he doesn't fully grasp, the playbook, if he doesn't fully, there are paths to him becoming very relevant. Again, he was very good to end last season in spells of those guys, Godwin mainly. But yeah, I mean, he's still easily probably the wide receiver 4 if Egbuka is indeed in front of him.
He's essentially, I mean, like worst case scenario, he's an injury contingent wide receiver handcuff, but 2 of their guys are 30 or older, are coming off of injuries and deal with injuries, and it happens. I'm good with Dubs here if we want to keep doing wide receiver. Okay. I see you have him higher, so that's good with me.
Yeah, I've been taking a little bit more of him lately because I feel like he is a good wide receiver 6, wide receiver 7 for your team that – we don't really know what's gonna happen with this Green Bay wide receiver core, right? Like they drafted two wide receivers. They're obviously they take Golden in the first round, something they hadn't done in a gazillion years. It was highly wanted by the whole fan base. They made their fans happy, but still yet they've still got who's the odd man out? Is it Wicks? Is it? We already know it's Bo Melton's not, in the fold here. So is Dobbs the ones does Dobbs get traded midseason? I mean, there's also plenty of ways that he could benefit late in the season that not a lot of people are probably thinking about right now.
Well, I mean, like historically though, like people talk about the drama from last year, but he literally came back that same week and was peppered. Yeah. And then I went and looked at the coach speak quotes about him. The entire month or 2 afterwards, all the comments were glowing, talked about his character, talked about how much they like him, and they talked about how much they understand the frustration. We know this offense is one that's very matchup based, very sub package focused, and very much, abusing weak spots in defenses. And the only receiver year over year, no matter what you think of, and I did think Dobbs' price last year in the 9th round was egregious, but to his credit, he's the only Packers wide receiver that runs 80 or more % of the routes as their primary boundary guy. Yeah. That is a good role on any offense, let alone a good offense, let alone an offense that could take a step forward with potentially a better
Love version. Was hurt like all year long.
He was banged up. The offense had its issues. But like Christian Watson, very efficient, very fun.
And he's not probably going to play.
No, famously a 2nd-round player. Golden's a 1st-round player. What if Golden's better than Watson? Well, that makes the offense better, but that doesn't – the only person that kills is the guys they were rotating to get something that Watson wasn't giving them, which your role players like the 7th-round Wicks and your 7th-round Bo Melton, etc., But yeah, correct. One guy, and the only guy getting subbed in and out, those were Wicks, those were Watson, those were Reed. Dubs is running all the routes. He's the red zone guy, and contingent upside injury wise as well. If anything happens to any of the guys, he benefits.
Yeah, and what if Golden is not what they think he is? I mean,
and then exactly. So it's like the tail end for Dubs is like he's just a touchdown catcher, leverage on every other piece, and they're week 17.
He was a big red zone threat last year. I mean,
sweet.
Are you thinking Hunter? Are you thinking Henry?
Let's get Hunter at least skinny stacked, and that feels good.
Shore us up there at tight end as well. Don't have to touch another tight end with Brock being our second pick off the board. So
we certainly don't have to.
No. So we got a 2-4-7-2. I'll recap it real quick before we get to our next pick here and a couple picks. Baker, Drake May, Chase Brown, Chuba Hubbard, Cam Scatterboo, Rashad White. At wide receiver, we got Puka, DJ Moore, Chris Godwin, Brandon Ayuk, Josh Downs, Jalen McMillan, Romeo Dobbs, Brock Bowers, and Hunter Henry at tight end. Feel pretty strong about this right now. I really like this build.
Looking good.
I like it. We are on the clock at 184. I'd say we probably could use one of these running backs if possible. Wouldn't care to go. I mean, we got 7 wide receivers, and honestly, I think our wide receiver room
I think we caught up real
strong.
Yeah, we caught up real well. I think running back is definitely the pick here. I definitely have a specific person.
You lean into somebody? Okay.
Yeah, I think
we'll wait till there's two in front of us that are probably watching the stream. Well, I know.
Yeah, I'm not saying anything, but I think we'll get our guy.
So we'll wait and see about that. And this is a good little run right here of running backs, I feel like. And there's a lot of people are high on Lloyd again this year. Who do you like him?
Jalen Wright is our Tampa Bay bring back. I see you're high on his rank. He's got injury contingent upside just the same as everybody else.
Yeah.
On a good
offense. Did you catch that clip today? Did you catch the clip today from their OC? He was I think it was Coach Speak who posted it, but the OC was like, we just want to make sure that every guy that's in the running back room that's basically going to have any kind of thing to do with the offense is all on the same page. And then the first guy that he names is Jalen Wright. He says Jalen, Devon, and then he says Matt, and we're like, who the hell? We're talking about
Madison.
I guess right, Madison. Which Ollie Gordon was not mentioned at all. Which obviously he's a rookie, and
the 7th round rookie didn't get mentioned. I'm sure.
I know, but the point is, and I don't know if a lot of people were putting a lot of weight. Obviously, you can't put a lot of weight on something in May, but it was good that he was mentioning Jalen Wright first, and he was, there's been a couple of videos posted here recently of Jalen Wright. He's looking good, man. He's looking good. He was cutting good, catching a nice little pat. I mean, obviously, he's in shorts and a helmet, so you can't really take just a whole lot of with a grain of salt there. You have to, but
yeah,
he is essentially. I've seen him go where he's gone undrafted in some drafts. So he's starting to climb up a little bit here in the last week or so. Back up, I would say a little bit. But there right after the draft, when they took Ollie Gordon, he was going undrafted. So we are catching him a little bit on that still, that little late little alert that he was getting. So, I'm still taking him.
Miami certainly has told us they like a 2 running back system where they have a big goal line guy and a speed option pass guy. They like to rotate them a little bit, but they are very much in their roles. And I was taking Madison in pre-draft because I didn't think Miami could afford to spend precious draft capital at the position. They don't. And I think that Madison has a decent chance to be their big body Mostert goal line guy.
Yep. Yeah.
With Wright being the more contingent change of pace and Devon Achane.
Which Madison was terrible at that in Minnesota, but was actually halfway decent in that role for Las Vegas last year. So we are on the clock.
Do you want to go with a 6 running back with Lloyd, or do you want to try to?
I'm totally fine with that.
Yeah, I think if we're doing 2 quarterback, I'd like to take another shot at a running back upside. He seems like a.
What is your thoughts on and while we make this pick, because I'm totally fine with Marshawn Lloyd, but Jarquez Hunter is getting a lot of steam, a lot of hype. I've seen him being talked about on various content platforms. What's your thought? Is Blake Corum, which it's funny because Jalapeno, this is a guy that's been in about every draft I've done on stream, but what is your take on the Corum Jarquez Hunter situation? Are you drafting either one? Are you into
I'm
either
taking
one?
darts every now and then. I mean, it's an offense and a backfield we want pieces of. Whoever the
Sure.
backup is valuable.
Agency is crazy,
I
right?
don't love taking shots when I don't know, and you have to kind of bet who's more likely to get it. So that from that standpoint, I'm good fading what Corum did last year because I wasn't into him as a prospect. I wasn't into what he did last year. He seemed to be pretty Jag-esque. And at the end of the day, it's gonna come down to who does McVay and Stafford trust, and we're not gonna know that until camp, and then I'll hammer it. But in the meantime, I see the vision with Jarquez. He's the most explosive guy in that backfield, and this is a staff that does not care at all about draft capital.
No, I mean they are loyal to Kyron, but after that, it's pretty much like out to the wolves. It's like
exactly.
Really
I mean,
care,
this is a team that I won't be surprised if they fade both in-house guys and go sign someone off the street that they trust or
Ronnie,
trade
which they've already got Ronnie Rivers on the. We knew they was going to bring him back, but. So I'm guessing you're probably thinking wide receiver here to end this. Is that true? Since we did take the 6th run.
Yeah, let's take a New England guy just to give May a stack.
Who we feeling?
Whoever we see first to get it in.
Booty, I guess. I guess it's.
I probably prefer Mac, but you just take shots and you say I don't know, right?
I mean, and Booty was really good last year with May. Because
I know it's a new
staff. A lot on that second unit, so they had a little report already. So I don't mind it. I do have some Booty. I mean, I do have him. Obviously, it was a lot more pre-draft. But let's go ahead and recap. So we finished with a 2-6-8-2. Quarterbacks are Baker Mayfield, Drake May. Running back room consists of Chase Brown, Chuba Hubbard, Cam Scatterbo, Rashad White, Jalen Wright, Marshawn Lloyd. Receivers were Puka, DJ Moore, Chris Godwin, Brandon Ayuk, Josh Downs, Jalen McMillan, Romeo Dobbs, and Kayshawn Booty. And then our tight end room, Big Brock Bowers and Hunter Henry. So I got to ask for the rank because I'm going to start doing this on every stream with a guest that I have. You are guest number 3, by the way. This is Extend the Drive, episode 12. Third guest that I've had. Appreciate you being on. But what's the rank? 1 through 10. Give us your solid take. How do you feel about it? Do you feel like there was some spots we could have been better at, or do you feel like we did enough to keep the balance?
I mean, this is the most like nerd optimized lineup you can do. We got our stacked quarterback. We stacked our quarterbacks. I think we somehow managed to hit every pocket well as far as where we were draft allocating and hitting. Sure, you'd like more rookies, but we didn't. I don't think we got over our skis as far as construction, who we were targeting, why we were targeting them, and the archetypes we were targeting. So from that standpoint, I think it's a solid 8.69.
Ooh, 8.6. Ooh, 8.69 at that. Hey, that's good. That's I forgot what Neil gave us last night, but that's solid.
Neil's team sucks, so it had to be a bad rank. Love you, Neil.
Oh well, chat. Throw us in there. How do we do? Somebody in the chat. I know you guys are still there. Tell us rank. Give us a 1 through 10 while I name this thing.
Rank my deck, guys.
Let's name this puppy. Like I said, 2682 with EMO.
That's a nice one.
Episode number 12. Extend the Drive. Best Ball Live. EMO, and it was a 2682. All right.
Fun little quote that was released from Pete Carroll. Anybody that's worried about Pete Carroll's history of tight ends, as if that wasn't more of like a Shane Waldron, Joe Schneid type of like thing. Unless we forget they tried to trade Jimmy Graham and then just misuse him. Right. Quote today. Geno Smith already knows where Brock Bowers is on the field. He's found him a ton of times already. Brock just makes himself so available. He's a big part of that offense for sure. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Shocker.
Right. Yeah. And so again, that was Hartman gave us a 7.69.
Wrong but fair.
Hey, we'll take it. Nick says that was my best BBM. I want to go look at Nick's, and since Nick is so overly confident here.
A lot of fluffing going on from Nick in the chat.
Let's go see how Nick did. Where you at, Nick? You're right in front of me. So Nick had a 3.573. So
they are ahead of ADP. We're already.
I hope you don't mind if you get a roast right here, man, because you're about to get it, whether you want it or not. So we had Brock Purdy, Jordan Love, both before ADP. Jordan Love there quite a bit. AR well
Soft.
before ADP. So we had 5 running back here, which I think I'm fine with that. But Isaiah Pacheco as a third, Travis Etienne, I'm okay with. Ray Davis, I like
This
as
is
a
the
late
most
guy.
right-wing slappy running back room I have ever seen in my damn life. My God.
Then, of course, Rashee Rice, which you got a nice little dip on Rashee. I'll give you that. J-Mo, Zay Flowers, Juwan Jennings, Matthew Golden a little bit behind. Adonai, which I'm fine with. I like him as a late guy. And then dead Dontavian Wicks. And then Tucker Kraft, Mike Guess, and Chig Okonwu. Let's give him a grade. Let's see. Oh, you just did another 12.
I mean,
and CDK gets that again.
You take Purdy at ADP and you reach for Jordan Love. you buy yourself the ability, much like we did, to say we will ignore quarterback unless a stacked one comes to us at or after ADP and we decide to deviate. Right. You decide that the guy who's been consistently falling for months and is almost certainly going to fall the second we get news that they continue to split reps and Dimes is looking good, which has been the coach speak from what Dimes does well is hit the short intermediate stuff slightly more often.
One thing he can really. I mean, he doesn't have a bad long ball either.
No, he doesn't. But this offense, that's where Flacco struggled last year. Is they both guys last year were just so inaccurate on the quick out stuff that just keeps them on schedule. So it's if AR is last 2 picks and I get it, but deciding you needed him ahead of ADP, which I get.
Well, and then you took
you're on the turn.
185.
You're on the turn. You're on the turn. I get it, but you kind of you decided that was absolutely necessary to get out of structure for when I think your wide receiver room would have been
Nick,
a little bit better.
No, I mean, it felt like you wanted to make it. To me, it felt like you kind of wanted to deviate from playing a little bit there at the end. You took AR a little bit before, and then it's bam, got to have a stack. So then you take AD at 185 when he's going at 208. I mean, it feels like the late stacks here were kind of unwarranted. Didn't exactly really need them, to be honest, in my opinion.
Wait, go to the draft board real quick. I'm curious about something. I have a roast in my back pocket, but I want to check before. Just scroll down a little bit for me to the 160s range where you took AR.
Which would have been...
you weren't even on the turn. Oh, this is fun. You took AR over Cam Ward, who you could have easily and cheaply backstacked, who is no bench risk. And that's the other thing. In BBM, dude, I'm going to try to avoid so hard having a dead quarterback in the finals or in the playoffs. And you went out of your way to bypass Cam Ward, who you could have easily backstacked with Chig for the bench risk AR. That is insane behavior. If Cam Ward was off even Geno, backstack Geno with Tucker and whoever. It's just
Geno hit 1 pick after.
Backstacking AR of all those guys is egregious, quite frankly.
Or actually, did we steal Romeo from you? Was that what happened? We stole Romeo. That was probably your play.
Yeah, no Green Bay guys go after Romeo, famously.
And then, you kind of had to panic. You're like, oh, man, what do I do now? We had Nick say he probably watched the AR 4-yard out. And then we got Who Hames. It was
funny that the Colts PR team
says WTF.
4-yard out route from AR and a 20-yard ball from Dimes. They've released opposite versions of themselves. Very funny. Good job, Nick. If that's your best one, I have high hopes for your future ones.
Hey, I mean, we all like our own teams. I will say that.
Oh no, some of my teams I hate.
I will say there's some teams that I'm the other night I drafted with a couple of guys in the puppy, and it was with AQ and I think it was Jalapeno maybe. But man, I hated my team, and of course AQ after, because we'd been talking on Twitter, we had a post going with each other, and he's like, "All right, post your team," and I was like, "Shit, now I got to post this thing, and everybody's going to get to see it." So, but anyway. Well, I forgot Nick is actually in the fantasy best ball draft.
Prices are locked in. DK rules all summer long. You get the pricing you get. I hear my dogs getting
I know
extra angry. We've had construction workers in our drive away for
totally
4
get it.
days
I totally
for
get
the
it, man.
neighbors.
I'm gonna let you tell the people where they can find you, man. I know you got a show going on later. If you want to plug anything, plug away, and we'll go ahead and we'll end it, man.
No, I appreciate it. Yeah, I'll be joining the Fantasy Football Garage, aka Candyman, aka Chris, on his channel tonight at 8:30 Central.
Awesome.
We'll draft another BBM there, and then tomorrow night, everyone's favorite chaotic, always sunny in Philadelphia-esque stream, the Typhel Tower, on the Fantasy Sanctuary at 5:30 Central, I believe.
Okay.
So tomorrow that'll be on your viewing appointment. Sean, it was a blast. I think
man, really appreciate you coming on.
Guest BBMs that you'll see in a while. So this was a good one.
It was a good one, man. I appreciate you. I'll let you can go ahead and drop, man, and I'm going to go ahead and tell the people a little bit about what I got going on later, if they don't already know. But I appreciate you coming on, man. Thanks, Tyler.
Thanks for having me on, man. This was a good time.
Absolutely.
Peace.
Absolutely. So if you haven't heard already or you haven't seen the post, I am going to be battling Mr. Who Hames, who's in the chat, later tonight in 2 hours. Well, a little less than 2 hours at 9 Eastern, 8 Central. We are going to be playing Fantasy Best Ball Jeopardy over at the Fanspeak Network with Justin Bruni. Thanks, Meg, for inviting me on. Can't wait to get on there and battle it out. So if you guys check it out, but I'm going to go ahead and go ahead and close this one out. Episode 12, Extend the Drive. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. It was fun. We had EMO Tyler, the Cowboy, on, and I look forward to the next one. There's going to be a lot more streams. Tomorrow, by the way, I will be having Meg Show from Fanspeak Network on Extend the Drive. We will be going live at 6:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 Central. So go ahead and put that on your calendar. Should be another fun one. We're going to draft a lot of Cam Scataboo. Hope you enjoy it. Thanks, everyone. Have a great rest of your Wednesday, and hopefully I'll see you guys later tonight.